Love is hate. Love is mischief. Love is a dagger. Nah. Love is sticking with somebody or something, even if you don't like what's going on at the moment. Be assured, MCU, I still love you. Hello and welcome to the review of Champions. It's time to talk about Loki episode 3. With me is a very big panel this time, but they're all familiar. Mr. Shadow Biz, all the way from down under. Mr. Arch Stanton from Florida. He got a Florida brother here. Joining us from the MCU's Bleeding Edge, Mr. Jeff. All the way from Texas, we have Mr. Taylor First. And from the great beyond, voice only, Mr. Lord Deathman.
Hey, everyone.
Welcome back, you all. And we're going to talk spoilers. So if you have not seen the episode yet, please go watch it and then see our video. But before we start, I would like to ask you all to hit that like and subscribe button and join our forum on Sakar. You can find it on sakar.freeforums.net. It's a fun little community, and lately it's been growing a bit, and I like it. So we hope to see you there. And of course, please make sure to also check out the YouTube channel of the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Jeff is making great content there. We are joining him regularly for Loki reviews and an MCU review series, which we absolutely like to do. Okay, we're gonna talk about the episode now. Well, let's start with you, Arch. What did you think about the episode?
I actually found it really intriguing. It's pretty simplistic if you just take it at face value. They get to this new planet. There's a big disaster going on. They kind of run around. You get a little bit of character development, but it doesn't really seem on the surface that a lot's going on. Obviously, this episode ends with them, facing a certain doom to an apocalypse they apparently can't avoid. I'm really interested to see where that's going on. But I think there was a lot of subtlety going on here. I sat around and actually thought about this one quite a bit. And I feel like the episode opens up with showing what an enchantment from Sylvie looks like, at least from the person she's enchanting. And later in the episode, we get this clue, at least I felt, I looked at it that way, where she explains that for really powerful minds, remember near the start of this episode, Loki says, my mind's too strong for you to enchant. And she has a workaround for this, where she says that she can take a memory and use that memory of a stronger mind to wrap an illusion around that person. Now, the person still exists. She can't totally overwhelm them. The person still exists, but she can encompass them in an enchantment, even though they're still there. And I feel like that might have been exactly what we saw happen this episode. There was a really key moment in the bar car where they're hanging out. She gets him talking about his mom under the pretense that her mother is so far distantly removed from her that she can't remember him. He happily talks about that. He starts talking about his relationships. And then he had just before that said, hey, why don't you take a nap? And just after that, all of a sudden, there's like this hard cut. She's waking up from a nap and he's over there partying and we don't know what's been happening. It just all of a sudden happens. And it really reminded me of that opening scene where she's talking to C20, the girl from the TVA. And then that girl, the moment she starts to get conscious, all of a sudden the restaurant scene flips. So I really think there might be something going on there. I think Sylvie may have slowly infiltrated him to trick him into an enchantment. But there's also a chance that Loki himself has actually reversed that, or is doing some sort of enchantment on his own, or has a plot to deal with her him being enchanted by her that we haven't seen yet. So I'm not sure, but I found this episode pretty intriguing with a lot of subtle moving parts going on in the background.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's a good take. I saw that on the board was being discussed that there could be some enchantments going on, and it made the episode at least a little bit more interesting. Taylor, to me it felt a bit like a filler episode. How do you feel about that?
No, I thought it was a good episode. I thought the whole story on the other planet was quite interesting. The effects and the aesthetics of it was all really, really good. There were some good fight scenes in the episode, and this was the episode where the two Lokis get to know each other, and a relationship starts to form between them, whether it's for better or for good. But that was really the importance of this episode, is that the two characters are learning about each other, begrudgingly working together. Maybe one of them is enchanted, who knows? But just on the face value of the episode, that was the purpose of the episode, is the two of them being forced together to work together to stay alive, and eventually probably to advance the main plot with the TVA. But overall, I thought it was a good episode. I thought it was a lot of good action. I thought there was some good dialogue. The special effects were great. The whole worlds colliding on the other planet situation, I thought was quite interesting. So overall, I liked it.
Okay, Jeff, tell me, did you like it too?
Oh, I mean, I have to. I mean, I don't know that I would really call it a filler episode, to be honest with you, because kind of just lending from what Taylor said and from what Arch said, I feel like a lot went on. There was a lot of subtle stuff that went on during the episode that made it really kind of intriguing, to be honest with you. And the more, once I watched it more than once, is when it really sank into me, the depth of the episode, I guess. Like, I didn't really get it from the first rendition, but the second one I did more. And just like Taylor said, what really worked for me was the fight scenes. Like, I really enjoyed seeing Lady Loki and Loki fighting, and the action scenes were good and everything and whatnot. That was cool. And just the whole dynamic between the two Lokis I thought was like the fun part of the episode for me.
Okay. Well, Lord Deathman. Character stuff aside, that was pretty good. I saw it the second time today. It improved the episode to me. The first time I saw it, I really didn't like it. But yeah, the character stuff was okay. But shouldn't they have moved the plot forward a little bit more?
Yeah, I find that I'm in your camp this week, Grandmaster. I felt a little soft on this particular episode. Not that I disliked it or hated it, but I do feel that it slowed the narrative down, and it felt more like a diversion instead of a progression in the story path. So it's kind of a trend in modern television storytelling where you kind of build up the action over the course of 2 or 3 episodes. And then for whatever reason, the writers and the producers feel like we need to put a peak in there. Like we just kept scaling this valley, and now for some reason, we're just going to flash back to 30 years ago and not quite resolve things for an episode or two. So I understand that that's kind of like a trope of modern storytelling on television. And even though this does literally pick up from where the last episode left off, it still felt like we were hitting one of those valleys for whatever reason. It just felt more diversionary. I won't go as far as saying filler, because I do think you got relevant information out of the episode. And I do think you understood a little bit more about the characters, but there is something that just felt like, I wish this was carrying the story across a little bit more in a progressive way rather than slowing us down with this. So I also had some issues around the visual feel of the episode. So as much as I like the design of Lamentis 1, it did sort of feel flat in the beginning of the episode, where you're kind of dealing with these vistas, these like dunes and expansive landscapes that are a rear projection or green screen. So in the first 2 episodes, we had this feast of incredible set design, props, production, real tactile feel there that I really liked. But I feel like 2/3 of Lamentis 1 sort of felt, okay, very nicely done green screen, very nicely done planetary designs, but still, you could kind of feel that these guys are just running around in a 6x6 square against a green screen. However, I will say that in the last third of the episode, with that kind of thrilling sort of apocalyptic run to try and get to the Ark, they did pull off some tricks that made me feel like, oh, okay, now we're getting back to a sort of 3D tactile feel. And even though you still feel that green screen aesthetic, there's more energy in it because there's moving around, there's choreography. So, and God help you if you weren't a fan of purple this episode, because the episode had a very monochromatic feel that I also felt sort of aided and abetted this sort of overall visual flatness, that I sensed coming out of it. I also want to talk a little bit about Sylvie, putting aside the sort of endless theory crafting that's going on around that character. Is she mineral, plant, vegetable, like whatever your headcanon is about it? I feel like people are being diverted into it. Is she a robot? Is she part Loki, part man, half woman? Totally cool to be going down those kinds of rabbit holes. But I had to look at the character, and that's where I am when, I'm seeing these miniseries. Is Sylvie an interesting character, right? I can tell you this. She is certainly not living up to the high standards of being a Loki. A Loki is articulate. A Loki is charming. A Loki is, very much on the higher scale of character endowment. And what I get from Sylvie is anger. I get a lot of resentment, I get a lot of sarcasm out of the character, but she's just not feeling Loki-ish to me. So I don't know if that's something that they can resolve as the series goes on. But as much as I like Sophia DiMartino as an actress, I don't feel like Sylvie is kind of knocking me over as this sort of breakthrough MCU character that people are talking about in social and whatever. I don't really feel like they're paying off the mystery of the character that was sort of built up across the couple of episodes that we've seen so far, where it should have been a repartee between her and Loki. It was more like Loki was giving and she was taking in terms of information about the character. You didn't really get a lot there. So there's some work they need to do for me as far as the Sylvie character goes. And I'm not going to start into, the theory crafting end of her character until I feel she's meeting that. There's also just plain old chemistry. Like I don't know if I'm spoiled on the Wilson Hiddleston chemistry. The Mobius, M. Mobius and Loki chemistry is just so dynamic. Those guys bring a game. But when I looked at Sylvie and Loki's chemistry, it just seems adversarial for the sake of being adversarial, with a few kind of soft moments in there where they might be reaching each other. So, not every actor, it's not going to be like a ballet and a dance when two actors sort of get together every single time. But I think that the chemistry between the two could work a little better. But I did have some, positives on the episode. I really loved Sylvie sort of talking about the way enchantment works and being specific, because I'm a world building kind of how do the powers work guy. And I felt like, wow, that was, nice world building, nice explaining, setting us and grounding us in her abilities. I really loved the last third of the episode. It really supercharged the episode, gave it that kinetic energy that I want out of a Marvel series that we've come to expect this far. And, I also like the whole concept of Lamentus One, this place that is about to face this pending apocalypse. I like the idea of meeting that one woman in that encounter where they're trying to glom weapons, and I kind of like that it was a desolate world and people were trying to get to this arc. They really did create urgency in that part of the storytelling and crafting. So, yeah, I think people are going to be a little surprised by my rating, but those were my pluses and minuses. I'm not going to say this was filler, but I will say that I was a little softer on this than the first two episodes.
Yeah, I am in your camp as well, after your elaborate view on this episode. To me, this episode felt a bit like episode 2 of season 2 of The Mandalorian, the one in the ice cave. And, it didn't really drive the story forward. There was some interesting character work, I give you that. But it really felt to me like they had stuff for like 5 episodes and they needed a 6th one, and they wrote this stuff in for the sake of it. How do you feel about that?
Oh, well, I can understand both points of view. I mean, yes, it was in a way it was a full episode because we got like a little bit of the TVA plot, and then we got transported as a viewer to Lamentus. And then also this is episode 3. There's not many episodes left to go, so I can see that. I can definitely see that point of view. But in terms of like a filler, like straight up filler, I mean, I got what I wanted from it. Like, it was entertaining. There was character development. I mean, I like Sylvia. I guess I can identify with her because she was like pretty much like chased by the TVA for how long? I don't know. Like, it seems like a long time, right? She's been chased. So of course it makes a person kind of a little bit warped, a little bit angry at the world, and her as far as chemistry goes with Loki, I think it's meant to be like that because they don't trust each other. That's why their chemistry is not that great. That's the way I see it anyway. Could be maybe that something to do with the actors. Maybe Hiddleston and Owen, they get along better. Yeah, I liked it. It was at one point felt like a space western. Like, I discussed it with Arch, like with the lone woman and her massive like sci-fi gun, whatever it was, ridiculous. But yeah, I liked the episode, so yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Arch, you had a follow-up?
Yeah, I just want to, I guess, add, because I wouldn't dismiss that, the ideas you guys are espousing. I feel like there's maybe a bit of a mystery building up here, and the point of not feeling like, we've progressed the story here is to not reveal what exactly is happening. So like it's kind of the point not to know exactly what's going on beyond this. At least I think if it's anywhere in near the ballpark of somebody's being enchanted here, somebody, there's some sort of illusion going on that somebody's not aware of, or there's mechanics going on with somebody trying to outwit another person. Like, not knowing what that is right now would be the point. Like, we wouldn't want to know exactly what everybody's thinking and what their schemes are all in episode 3. So that might be leading to what you guys are kind of sensing, but I would define that as kind of being the point of the episode. So that's why I kind of enjoyed it for what it is, and I guess we'll see how it shakes out by the time episode 5 and 6 come around. We might look back and go, yeah, nothing really happened here. If it's literally at all at face value and nothing has really happened here, then yeah, okay, I'll probably look back and be like, yeah, you guys were on to something. But I feel like something's going on there, so I think that's the point. At least that's where I stand right now.
That's basically what we said after that Ice Planet episode. In that Ice Planet episode review, we also said maybe after we see the whole season, it's brilliant, and maybe it's nothing. Yeah, I know you're scared of spiders, but you still enjoyed it. Okay, I think it's time to rate. I'm going to the silent one first. Mr. Taylor first. May I have your rating, please?
Like I said, very good episode. I give it a 9 out of 10.
Okay. Lord Deathman?
Yeah, like I said, I was a little soft on this episode, so my rating's coming in a little lower this week, 7.5. And I think the biggest, besides just sort of derailing the narrative flow of the overall story, I also started to feel that Loki of 2012 was sort of getting sidelined in this episode, and that we're kind of more showcasing Sylvie. And, a Loki is a Loki is a Loki, but there's still my Loki. And I guess I'm selfish of that character, and I kind of wanted to see that character continue to have the spotlight. But Lamentus One made it seem like he was kind of along for the ride with Sylvie's journey. And since Sylvie's identity is kind of still in question, and they haven't resolved definitively whether she is a Loki or not, I kind of had a problem with that. So there's still plenty of time in the series, though, for them to pick it up. And like I said, this wasn't a terrible episode. Really entertaining, especially towards the end. We got a lot of new information out of it. And I love the new settings going to Lamentus One. Even though it was a diversion, it was a semi-pleasant one.
Jeff?
I would say probably I would go 8.5 with this episode, and just kind of agreeing with everybody here pretty much on the panel. I feel like I understand where Lord Deathman's coming from. I do. I get where you're coming from, Grandmaster. I feel like Arch said, I think we really need to kind of see where things play out in the next episode. and how things flush out with this story, this arc of the story. I think it's cool that they kind of like sidetracked from the Owen Wilson Loki dynamic for an episode and kind of went away from the TVA a little bit. I like that. Now we'll see what ends up happening. It is kind of interesting. This is already the midpoint of the series. I wish it was a 9-episode series, honestly. Yeah, I'd go 8-5.
Okay, this.
Well, I really loved it. So 11 out of 10.
11.
It had everything that I like wanted. Like I really liked the sci-fi fantasy aspect. So yeah, it was awesome.
I see some teaming up here happening. But anyway, Arch, you're gonna do some crazy stuff anyway, so I go to your last.
It's not that crazy. I haven't really thought about anything super clever. I will just call it enchanting. And for a number of reasons. One, they use the word enchant like 100 times this episode. So I'm really curious. I won't theory craft too much here, but Sylvie's the enchantress. I don't know where they're going with her. I'm not going to speculate too much on that. I don't know in what version she is and all anything like that, but we'll figure all that out. But I just found like there to be like an interesting enigma here. I spent quite a bit of time talking with Max on the phone just about what could be going on here, and I just found it really interesting to talk about. Actually, it was all low key, and I don't mean that on purpose. Sorry, but it was it was subtle, and I thought there was like a fair amount of meat to talk about underneath the surface here. So I found it really interesting.
Well, initially I was going to give this a 3 out of 10 because for me it felt like a pure filler. But then again, I watched it again this evening and it got a bit better. And Taylor may laugh at me, but it's true. After reading the theories on the board, I paid some attention to that, and I think it's a 6 out of 10 for me. So it's slowly getting better. Hopefully it will pick up even more because I really want to like this. But we're not there yet. Sorry. Well, it's time for a section called Cannonfodder.
Cannonfodder.
Are you guys ready?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Well, our first theory, I got that one from Mr. Lord Deathman because I had some hard times finding good fan theories. Come on, fans, do a little bit better because the most of them were actually not worth mentioning. But this one I actually kind of liked. And the first fan theory we're going to discuss is Loki is going to reverse the outcome of the Battle of New York. At least he's going to try in this series. And Biz, I want to hear your thoughts first. Buy, hold, or sell?
It's an interesting one. I'm going to sell it. No, I just don't see it happening. I'm like, why? Like, why would he do that? Like, it makes no sense.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm stumped.
Jeff, what do you think?
I gotta sell too. I don't see how that fits into the story so far, really. I just don't.
Okay. Lord Deathman, your own theory. What do you think?
Well, this is something I saw trafficked on Twitter. And I have to say, I was somewhat, I was lukewarm on it when I heard it. I was like, it's interesting. And you know how these guys get on Twitter and then you move to Reddit and then people are like, yeah, but if you look at this promotional thing and then you see like, oh, there's Avengers Tower and it's destroyed. And like people really pick the promotional material apart to put together these theories. So surprisingly, I'm going to hold on this one. I'm not buying or selling, but I do think that it's fair game to think that Loki might want to pull his own end game and sort of go and counsel himself about 2012 and say, listen, this is how you can turn this whole thing around. And then some of the things we've seen in the promotional material where you see a destroyed Avengers Tower becomes the result of him, meddling with that. Yet another branch in which he kind of did win, but this is what winning looks like. So I'm not going to discount that theory. I'm going to hold.
Okay. Arch?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and sell it, but those are some interesting ideas. I did want to throw in there that my first impression of Lamentus 1 actually was that it looked very similar in some ways to me to the destroyed New York Avengers Tower that we've seen in the trailers. And that got me like thinking that maybe that is somehow part of an enchantment, if that's what's going on. Maybe I'm just throwing more stuff onto some track I'm already on, which may be way off track. I have no idea, but I did really legitimately, without trying to think about it, feel like Lamentus 1 felt like the New York scene that we saw in the trailer. So maybe, but either way, I'm going to go ahead and sell this theory because, like Jeff and Biz said, I don't see how that really fits in at this point.
Okay, Taylor.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to sell. I think Jeff nailed it. This story is not about the past. It's not about going back to the Avengers movie. It's a new story, and it's going forward, and I just don't think that's going to be a part of it in the next 3 episodes.
Well, Jeff, I'm going to you first with our second theory, and well, I thought it was a rather interesting one I found on Twitter. It's about Sylvie and her identity. And the theory of the fans is that Sylvie is actually not a Loki variant. Sorry, forgive my English. But she is a Frigga variant instead. So she's not a Loki, but she's a Frigga. How do you feel about that? Buy, sell, or hold?
I've got to sell that one too. I think that character of Sylvie is a combination of the Enchantress from the comic books and Lady Loki. That's my take on it. I think it's like a combination of the two characters.
Okay. I understand why you say that. Biz.
Sorry, what was the question again?
Sylvie is not a Loki variant, but she's a Frigga variant.
A what variant?
Adoptive mother.
Oh, right. Oh, no, I don't see that. That's too weird. Yeah, I'm gonna straight up sell that. That's too weird.
Taylor, buy, sell, or hold on Sylvie being actually a variant of Loki's mom, Frigga?
Sell. No reason. There's no reason for that. And like Biz said, that's too weird. It would throw too much of a monkey wrench into the flow of the story. I think. Remember, we've only got 3 episodes left and a lot left to happen. And I think a lot of the speculation about who Sylvie is kind of off the wall at this point. I agree that as far as the comics go, she is a combination of Enchantress and Lady Loki. But remember earlier in this show, we saw multiple variants of Loki, and some of them didn't even appear to be human, that Mobius showed to Loki. So, I mean, Loki variants seem to just happen, or variants of all types seem to just happen when something goes wrong in the timeline. So I just think, so far, nothing's changed my mind that she's just a variant from a different timeline.
Okay. Lord Deathman, buy, sell, or hold on Sylvie being actually a variant of Frigga?
I can't even look at the market cap on this one. This is a total sell. Just the chemistry between Sylvie and Loki, like they started getting into like even sexual dynamics. So there would be like an Oedipal thing going on if she's actually a Frigga variant versus a Loki. I'm sticking with my guns on the idea that, when is a Loki not a Loki? And the paradoxical answer to that question is when she or he is a Loki. So I think Sylvie is a Loki variant. I do think that they borrowed some traits from the Enchantress from the comic books to sort of inform her and make her different, just because it doesn't read as well these days to have like the lady version of a character. Like Lady Loki seems somewhat diminutive. So I think with so many women being involved in this endeavor, and that's not necessarily the only reason, but with that kind of energy flowing through the show in the writer's room, people probably just wanted to differentiate Lady Loki with her own name and power set. And the Enchantress just seemed like a likely target to glom all that stuff from.
Okay. Arch, last but not least.
Yeah, I'll agree with everybody here. I'll definitely sell it. I might even burn it. First of all, the TVA has followed all of these. They made it very clear that they've even followed every moment of our Loki's life. So I don't know how it would suddenly be Frigga without them knowing. I don't see how that makes any sense. I think it's a variant of Loki that can mean a number of different things. There's all kinds of different. It could be from the future. It could be just a completely different kid that came off. I've kind of maintained that it might be a Loki reborn in some sort of way, but there's a number of different options there. It's not Frigga.
Okay, well, that's clear. The panel has rejected this theory. Some folks on Twitter were actually convinced she was Frigga, but okay, we'll see. Okay, the last one is a little bit complicated. I wrote it down and in one sentence, but it's actually a very elaborate theory I found online, and actually I thought it was very interesting. The TVA is the city you see in the quantum realm in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And the reason they say this because time moves differently in the quantum realm. Weren't those the exact words Mobius used when they were in the elevator? Time moves different in the TVA. So there actually, it could also be the way Janet survived all those years in the quantum realm. So that's theory I thought very interesting, and the reason they say this also is because the sacred timeline is actually the timekeepers keep the sacred timeline, but there are no timekeepers. It's actually Kang who uses the TVA, created the TVA to keep this timeline sacred, so he gets what he wants. So that's the whole theory, and who is going to show up in Ant-Man 3? Kang. Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. So I think there's a lot of merit in this theory, but I don't want to, of course, direct you guys to what you have to do, but buy, hold, or sell. Mr. Lord Deathman, tell me, what do you think?
I'm sorry, I need the cliff notes on this one. Okay.
Basically, what they're saying is the city you see in Ant-Man and the Wasp is the TVA. The TVA is located inside the quantum realm.
I hadn't heard this, but I will say that a lot of the interesting theories, I think all of the more plausible theories that I've seen and read and encountered always involve the TVA. So, but as much as I feel like the fandom's onto something in the realm of TVA speculation, I am going to have to sell. That's really specific. Yeah.
Okay. Kevin Feige did note that if you look very carefully inside the quantum realm during the movie The Ant-Man and the Wasp, you see something that's very important for the future of the MCU. The fans think it's a TVA as a city in the quantum realm. Jeff, what do you think?
No, what we see with the TVA, that's the null zone. The city from Ant-Man 2 is that's Kang's city that he created in the multiverse. So no, I gotta sell.
Okay, great. I understand that. Taylor, what do you think?
I don't remember what the city actually looked like in Ant-Man 2. I remember him seeing it, but I don't remember what it looked like. But yeah, I'm definitely going to sell. I do not believe that is the TVA.
Even when they say time moves differently in the TVA or in the quantum realm, that can't be a coincidence, right, Arch?
I'll go with a strong hold here, and I realize that doesn't really make any sense, but it's possible. I mean, they're bringing back apparently Abomination coming up. I'm sure you guys all saw that recently in Shang-Chi. So I mean, maybe I'm not going to put any money on that because it's probably something different. I feel, but I can see them doing it. I mean, they did throw it out there. There's a couple little connections, so I'm not going to completely dismiss it here. So stronghold.
Okay, Pierce. Last but not least.
I'm gonna put on like let's see. I'm gonna be on the fence on this one. I'm gonna put in like I'm on the border of hold and sell. That's where I'm at with this theory.
Okay. So you're not convinced, but it could be true,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
But you don't want to commit.
No.
Too bad, too bad, too bad. Okay. Well, we're going to do a little bonus here and discuss the Shang-Chi trailer. What did you guys think of that? Mr. Lord Deathman, did you see it and did you like it?
I loved it. I love the approach that they're taking to Shang-Chi, which is really, it really shouldn't work, right? And I'm going to try to be like less verbose and technical about this, but when I watched the trailer, I'm like, this is like a burrito that has a ton of ingredients that shouldn't kind of be working. I'm like, there's wushu martial arts genre, there's the action genre, there's the superhero genre, there's sci-fi, there's even kind of like a crime story with a mob boss and the Mandarin. But I loved it because they are digging deep into the crates of the MCU, especially with the Abomination and seeing Wong. So it feels like the world of the MCU is going to expand a little. I love when you get the verification that this is all happening in the same place. And the Shang-Chi movie seems like it's totally going to embrace that. So I love the way the trailer was paced. I love the music. I know a lot of people were hating on the music for some reason. I think Simu Limu is a strong lead. I'm not sure why people feel he's a little weak in the role, but based on the trailer, I don't especially like you haven't really seen a lot of him. The one criticism that I had about the trailer, if any, was that it was so strong on Tony Leung. I mean, he's obviously a legend in in international cinema, and I was like, oh my god, this feels like a Mandarin movie. Like, am I getting like the story of the Mandarin, or am I getting the story of Shang-Chi? But I think they're going to find a way to balance that well. And from the special effects to the acting performances to the set pieces that they're doing. And I effing love Death Dealer. I mean, he just seems so badass. He's like the Winter Soldier-ish Terminator that you need, but in this kind of like Asian flavored world. I really can't wait to see what that guy can pull off as a henchman, because I'm a big fan of henchmen. So yeah, I'm giving that trailer an easy A in terms of Marvel promotional material.
Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it. I liked the trailer. It was very energetic. And also loved the fact that it didn't focus on. I mean, it focused on less humor this time around, which was good, because Marvel's known for like a bit of humor here and there, but I liked it this way, that it was like less. But yeah, like very energetic. Abomination was hell of a surprise, that's for sure. Even though I might disagree the use of certain heroes, villains in this film, but yeah, I like the trailer. I can't really see a fault in it apart from that.
Yeah, okay, but I saw your comments on the board, and I understand where you're coming from. But aren't we at the point anymore that actually you just bring in characters from in the MCU into a movie, and it doesn't really matter which villain they were to which hero in the comics? I mean, to see Abomination in this, he's a Hulk villain, but yeah, he may not even be a villain in this. He just maybe how you say that? Filler. Oh, sorry, wrong. Jeff, what did you think?
Well, I think the Abomination is going to be a participant in this like kung fu tournament that they're going to have in the film, which I believe is going to be in like the second arc of the film.
I heard there's like a Mortal Kombat kind of tournament in the movie.
Yes. I think that Biz really hit it on the head. The tone of the trailer I felt like was better than the other trailer that they had for Shang-Chi. I didn't like the comedic part of the last trailer that much. I like the tone and the energy of this trailer a lot more. I like the Lord Deathman said, they really kind of like put the spotlight on the Mandarin in this trailer to where he does kind of almost overshadow the film a little bit. But I like it. Like I like that angle. I like him as a villain. I like the way I like how he talks to like Shang-Chi in the trailer, and he's like, "Watch what you say to me, boy." I felt like that was really poignant. And like the music I thought was great too. I love the music in that trailer. And I love the music in Loki. Natalie Holt does a great job. The composer of the Loki soundtrack has done a great job. And nobody has mentioned at all. I'm surprised Taylor hasn't mentioned it at all, or anybody hasn't mentioned that we got the reveal that like all the TVA employees are variants.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
You know, um, yeah, that's true. That's true. We didn't mention that. Well, Taylor.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. I actually was going to mention that reveal, and I forgot to. So thanks for bringing that up. That's a very important point about the whole universe there. As far as Shang-Chi trailer goes, I thought it was great. Looks action-packed, looks big, sprawling, like Deathman was saying. Lots of elements. There's a dragon. Don't know which dragon for sure yet. There's a dragon.
Right.
Yeah, we're rooting for Fing Fang Foom.
I actually didn't. When I first saw the trailer, I didn't actually recognize Abomination. I thought it was just some other big monster character. And then I saw people online saying, "Hey, that's Abomination." I went back and looked again and said, "Yeah, it is Abomination," which is great. I happen to love the Incredible Hulk, and I thought Abomination and the man who became Abomination was one of the best part of that movie, actually. And it's a great movie overall.
Tim Roth.
But yeah, Tim Roth, yeah, he's excellent. But yeah, the Shang-Chi looks fantastic to me. I'm all in. I have no qualms about it. The music, the aesthetic, the martial arts, the action, the villain. You know, I was talking about it. Yeah, it's focused a lot on the Mandarin. Well, I was the one who wanted to see the real Mandarin in Iron Man 3. One of the complaints about the MCU that I have can be counted on 2 fingers, and the Mandarin in Iron Man 3 is one of them. Okay, so I'm really glad that we're seeing a real badass Mandarin in this movie, and I can't wait. Can't get here fast enough.
Yeah, okay, but I think any movie where Tony Leung is in, he will outshine the rest of the cast. So he's that great of an actor. So the focus on the Mandarin makes sense because he will dominate the screen anyway. Arch, and then I go to Lord Deathman.
Yeah, as you guys know, I don't watch a lot of trailers after the first one comes out, so I have not actually seen this, but I'm aware of a number of the different things like Abomination being in there. I can tell you, I saw a really cool comment that I thought was excellent and summed it up really nicely. That Abomination from Incredible Hulk is fighting Wong from Doctor Strange in Madripoor that was introduced in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So you're seeing this just great, like, mix and match and crossover potential of the entire MCU, which I think is awesome. When you read the books, if you're growing up and you read any of the books, that's what would happen. You'd see these characters would deal with somebody like the Hulk, and then they disappear for long periods of time, and then all of a sudden they would just pop up completely unexpectedly in some other sort of comic. I remember Annihilation Conquest. That was the second Annihilation event. All of a sudden Ultron was behind the whole thing, and you're like, where has Ultron been? But it was this cool kind of thing that happened. So I love seeing stuff like that pop up. It feels very comic booky. So
yeah,
100% approve.
That's actually a big question for all you MCU fans. Where is Betty Ross? But anyway, Lord Deathman.
Sure. I just wanted to add that it's not necessarily for me seeing the Abomination that I thought was really cool, even though that was cool. It's the potential that you might see other characters from the MCU in this tournament as well. And that's where my excitement really goes off the charts. I also love the nod that they gave to comic book readers in terms of the redesign, giving him the proper fin, gills, sort of structures around the head that were conspicuously absent in The Incredible Hulk. And I also want to add that, as Taylor was saying, as far as the people who felt really disappointed in the way the Mandarin was developed in Iron Man 3, and there's a large contingent of MCU fans that felt like, yeah, we didn't do justice to that particular character. I, for one, was not too hard on that particular development. I thought it was clever. I thought it was a little funny. I thought Shane balanced it well, and it came as a total surprise to me. But I realized I had blind spots when it came to the Mandarin, so I went back, did my reading. Matt Fraction, John Byrne, all those people who have done really great contemporary Mandarin stories, and I'm like, okay, I get it. I see why some people are pissed. This is an important villain, an important character. and not some one note, one dimensional that I was thinking about from like the last stories I read in the 70s Mandarin. But in any event, I think it's awesome that they're listening to the fans in that particular respect, and that they saw that scar and that wound that was kind of separating the MCU fandom, and they said, "This one is for you, Taylor."
Well, do you guys think we will see Ben Kingsley, Trevor Slattery, somewhere in a cage locked up by the real Mandarin? He took him after all from the prison.
I
In
would
that one
love it
shot, Paul Hill the
personally,
King.
but I could see how others would not.
It would be such a troll move if that happened, though. I was like,
No,
we're going
it would
again.
Of course, Trevor was abducted in that Marvel one shot, All Hail the King, by the real Mandarin. So he actually should have him on lockup somewhere.
Unless he's like immediately disintegrated in the first frame of Shang-Chi, I don't think his presence will be desired.
Ben I can never get enough of Ben Kingsley. But anyway, I actually love that twist in Iron Man 3. So
I love it too.
I'm on the complete opposite of Taylor here. But Archie, you had a follow-up?
I'm now rooting for this to be A-bomb, not Abomination, and for him to shrink back down and it be being Ben Kingsley. That's my troll prediction.
Double down on the trolling, Marvel.
Tony Leung takes a mask off, and it's actually Ben Kingsley all along.
It would be rotting in the streets.
The moment that happens, I will think of Taylor.
Mass exodus from the fandom is what you can expect after that.
Well, Simu Liu did tease on Twitter that there's so much more to come in this movie. So yeah, and knowing Marvel, they do some reveals in their trailer, but the major reveals come later. So in the movie itself. So yeah, we will just have to wait and see. Taylor?
Yeah, I just wanted to echo what you were just saying. From these trailers so far, we really don't know anything about what actually happens in this movie, and Marvel is always so good at that. I think we're going to be all kinds of surprises, and I think it's going to be very much linked to the rest of the universe when it's all said and done.
If you had another follow-up?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, does anyone remember that theory that that Iron Fist might possibly be in this too?
Yeah.
So there's also that going for it. Who knows if we'll see that happen. Like, not the Netflix Iron Fist, but like a new Iron Fist or something.
Yeah.
Iron Fist shows up in this movie, instant GOAT status. It's a done deal.
Well, that could easily be replaced if Natalie Portman wrestles a space shark in
Okay. Enough with the fan speculation right now. I'm going to close up the review. This was our review for episode 3 of Loki. Before we finish, I would like to ask you all to hit that subscribe button again, or that notification bell on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, like our Facebook page, or join us on the forum on Sakar, sakar.freeforum.net. That way you will never have to miss us, and we won't have to miss you. And of course, a final shout out to the MCU's Bleeding Edge. Thank you, Jeff, for joining us again. Hope to see you again next week. Thank you all. See you all next week for our episode 4 review. Goodbye.